Yeah, this is the beach area. Obviously, not a lot of swimmers right now. Yeah, we'll stop, take a look. Oh! Yeah, this place gets quite crowded in the summertime. There's a big concession stand. I guess it's a place to change and whatnot. You can't see it over the lip, but there's a beach area down there. And there's a lot of boating on there, mostly sailboating. A lot of people have small sailboats. And a playground. Well, this is the new bike. It's a 107 2018. I just put on custom dynamic lights all the way around. I really like the look of the smoke lenses on the on this gray bike. It kind of fits the scheme of everything. And took off the passenger seat. I always ride solo, so does my daughter, so just kind of like the look of it without the passenger seat on it. The other thing too, being a relatively new rider, I wanted to get guards on the thing, so you can kind of see we have an engine guard, and they just came out with this bag guard fairly recently, so it should be well protected just in case it does take a tumble from leaning too far or bad footing or something and the bike goes over. The LEDs on the front, I kept them amber turns and amber running. I just like I think it's more visible to break up. I see people do all white running lights on the front, and I think having that amber in there just breaks that up enough to make it a little bit more visible, but that's just not scientific, just a personal opinion. Other than that, I guess it's pretty much stock. I'm still undecided what to do, whether or not I'm going to get some slip-ons or not. Well, that's enough jabbering. Let's do some more riding. Well, I will say the one thing on this bike that I don't like is how hard it is to find neutral. Of course, I think all Harleys have that problem to some degree. Yeah, let's go around the lake some more. The one thing I will do is that the 1,000-mile servicing, I'm going to use, I always use Redline transmission fluid, and as soon as I put that in, I'll notice a big difference as far as, and I don't know why that is, but it just seems so much easier to find neutral once you get a good transmission oil in there. As far as that Redline transmission fluid too, that's if you've heard of Baker products, they specialize in replacement transmission parts for Harleys. And that's the, you know, big red letters. That's all they recommend that you run in a transmission is Redline. It's got some stuff in it called shockproof that's supposed to help cushion the metal parts, and it's supposed to adhere to metal parts better. Other than that, it'll probably just be the... I like to use synthetic V-twin oils in the engine case and in the primary. So that's all going to get done. I usually do my own servicing, but if I have a new bike, I like to get the 1,000-mile first one done by the dealer. I also noticed washing some early salt off of the wheels. I had it up on the jack and was washing the spokes off, and I noticed, and I never had this happen before, but there were loose spokes on the thing, you know, and the bike only had like 200-300 miles on it, so I know they couldn't have been set right from the factory. Now, I don't have a spoke torque wrench, which you're supposed to use to set all the spokes, so that's one thing I'll have done at the 1,000-mile servicing. I did snug them up, but I didn't want to go too far. You don't want to, you got to be careful because you don't want to pull the wheel out of true or out of round. So I just snugged up the loose ones just enough to keep them snug. The other thing I'll have done on this bike too is, for some reason, when Harley puts stock, I guess you call them driving lights on either side of the headlight, when you're running with those driver's lights on at nighttime and you flip on the high beam, it turns off those daylights, those driving lights. And I don't know why the heck they do that. But you can get the dealer to reprogram that so that they'll stay on. And that's another thing that's going to be on the list. Yeah, we'll go up the west side of the lake here. Oop, gravel, sand. Yeah, I just don't understand the rationale for doing that, but it won't do it for long. Yeah, it's that way on the touring bikes, and I noticed that it's this way on this bike too. One thing I didn't mention on my new custom dynamic lights is on the rear. I put in red lights. I took the ambers off the turns and put in red lights so that I could run their triple play. And what that triple play does is it allows you to use your turn signal lights as running lights. I can use them as running lights, brake lights, and turn signals. And the interesting thing is because you don't have to change the original amber lights are just on off for turns, so they're a single filament bulb, just 2-wire. Well, you still replace it with a 2-wire I think it's an 1156 socket on the thing bulb. But what the triple plate does is it'll put like a half voltage on them all the time for run light, and then full voltage, full bright for brake light. And then of course it interrupts it if you're going to turn the turn signal on. It'll flash it on and off. So what I like about that is you get a whole lot more light and visibility on the back end because you're using the turns for running lights and brake lights. And then the other thing I do is you have different settings for flashers on the thing, so that when you put your brake on, it'll flash and, you know, try to get the notice of anybody that's behind you to help make sure they see that you're slowing down and stopping.